Well, we've made it to April, guys, so let's start looking at the top 10 list as reported by ComicTom and see if he's trying to make fools of us all. Stick around. Welcome back, family. Thanks for joining yet again. It's Sunday. Well, it's actually afternoon now. Yeah, I did watch the ComicTom top 10 list this morning, and not quite as bad and brutal as it usually is. You see a different angle. I'm trying everything I can to get rid of glare. And I only had to download about half the pictures because I actually have some of the comic books, and I'd much rather show you the book than try to download some picture off the internet. So let's get started. First book on the list, which did not surprise me because of all the news that was coming out with it and all the people talking about it, is the Batman Beyond the White Knight #1. It's the cover A. Now, raw sales are going for about $12, and I'm actually seeing more like $14, $15 on eBay. This is because there was a tweet or a post or whatever that there were printing problems and they did not get the full production run. So you better make sure that you can secure your copies. But what is not the full production run? Were they expecting 100,000 copies and they got 99,000 copies? Nobody really knows the numbers on this one right now. And judging from the fact that it only seems to be selling for about $12, $13, and there's a ton of listings of these things, I think there's more out there than people are afraid that think there are. That being said, $12 is not a terrible amount of money to drop on the book if you can get it for that price. I think it's going for more like $15, $20, as I said. You think about the Miss Minutes Timeless book, that shot all the way up to like 45 before it settled back down to 2025, but it did still hit 2025. It has a new Robin cameo in it. How well the Robin is received and how far they go with the character, who knows? But again, for $12, it's not gonna, even if it drops back down to 7 or 8, yeah, that's almost half the price, but it's still $5 less, so $4 less. You're not losing a terrible amount. I personally would wait till it just settles down a little bit and try to get it for a few bucks less. And if you get it off of eBay, remember to factor in your shipping costs. Because if you see it selling for 10 and they're asking for 15 for shipping, you're paying 25. So let's move on. Here's the first one I didn't have to get a picture of. The Amazing Spider-Man #93, the Gleason variant. And yeah, I really did like, oh shoot, I got new angles because I got lights in different locations. I can actually hold it straight now. Bring it right into the middle of the screen. There we go. Nice. So yeah, I think the market is quite a bit saturated with the Gleason art, but this one was actually still on the shelf at Syndicate, and I saw it and went, yeah, I want that. And I talked about this last night in the live stream. We talked about the Batman book as well. I like the book, and it said, raw sales are going for about $12. Again, I don't know how many were printed. If you think about the original Spider-Man 55 Gleasons, the white, the blue, the red, there were a lot of them printed. Sorry, long night. There were a lot of them printed, and eventually the prices did come down. I think the price will come down a little bit on this. I think it's probably going to settle more like around 8. I don't think that they're that scarce. It did not sell out at my LCS, which is why I was able to get one at the very end of the day. But I mean, if you love the cover, which I did, and that's why I bought it, go ahead and grab it. Check your LCS. They may still have them in stock. The sell price on it was $5.99, so that's what I was just looking at on that. So going for 12 means it's doubled in price. Pick one up for 9 if you really want to have it. But I think that if you really wanted it, you would have already had it on your pull list. Going to number 8, I have another book ready. I actually have a black #1. Hold it straight. Mine's only a 9.6 though. Black chapter 1. I actually got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I believe it was a 6-part series. Now, the reason I have this is because I tuned into Reggie Collects. Reggie Collects had this on his Blue Ocean, Red Ocean segment, which if you can think of a feeding frenzy with sharks, it's almost self-definitive. You don't want to buy books when the ocean is red, when the feeding frenzy is going on. You want to wait till the waters are calm. And he was talking about this book months ago, and I picked up the series because I wanted to read it. Excellent, excellent read. Now they have a writer and director attached to making this a show, whether it's going to be a movie, a series, or I'm not sure. But $25 raw sales, $185 for a 9.8, which I didn't get. I only got a 9.6. I thought it was a 9.8, let me tell you, but I didn't get lucky that day. $25. There were a lot more copies of this than people realized, but also it was not as well known. It was Black Mask Studios, so we're not talking about DC or Marvel or Image or Boom print runs. We're talking about much lower print runs. Now that it's on ComicTom, it's going to dry up real quick. But there are going to be sales that are not going to be made. People are going to try to drive the market up a little bit higher. Right now, it's probably going for closer to 30 now that it popped on his show. Just because a writer and director are attached to it still means we're at least a year away from even the trailer. Okay, it's got to be written. It has to be cast. It has to be everything before it becomes a show. But 25 is not that bad a price. If you can find a really high grade copy for $25, I'd roll the dice on it. I thought I had a good one, and it turned out to be a 9.6. If you can find the 9.8 at 185, I don't think there's that many 9.8s out there. So this may also be a good investment at 185 for the 9.8. Just based on quantity of what I believe to be out there. You can find it for less, okay. I don't know if at any point, even after the news dies down a little bit, you're going to find 9.8s for less than that right now. Just based on quantity of how many are available. Going on to number 7. Star Wars number 43. Hey, another book I talked about last night. I've only got an 8.0. But I'm trying to build my Star Wars run, and I'm not going to build the whole run in 9.8s. I'm sorry. It's the first appearance of Lando Calrissian, and we've got another. We know there's a Lando series coming out, and was it Donald Glover tweeting something about it, which sparked the interest again. It doesn't mean the show's any closer. It doesn't mean that they've wrapped up filming. It doesn't mean that the book is more expensive today than it was yesterday. It just means that it's now a red ocean. Okay, so we've got $65 for raws and $500 for a newsstand. And also, they reported that there was a recent newsstand sale for $6.99. Can I point out that this book came out in 1980 and like 90% of the books were newsstand? Practically, they were just about all newsstands at that time. It didn't become even equal until about 1985, 1986. Maybe 80%. But it was definitely way heavier on newsstands. So if you see a high-grade newsstand, just remember that while it was harder to... You're more likely to not get a 9.8 in a newsstand because of the environment that it went through. It was still much, much more plentiful during that time frame. So getting back to what I think about the book, $65, first appearance of Lando, Empire Strikes Back, a book that is now 41 years old. I'd hold off a little bit. Just bear in mind that Star Wars is one of those books. I mean, books do this generally. Star Wars books do this. They don't have too many valleys. They have a lot of peaks, but they don't have too many valleys. It's more of a strong, steady climb because you're appealing to not just the comic industry, comic collectible, but Star Wars collectible, sci-fi collectible. You're hitting multiple markets, so there's a lot more things that can influence it. And if you really want a copy, you may have to go for something along those lines. I'd wait a few weeks if you can, see if you can get it for closer to $45.50, but it's not going to drop down a lot more below that. And in the long run, it will go up in price. That is a good investment book. All Star Wars original series, 1 through 107 are good books. Okay, going on to number 6. Back to the pictures again. Skybound X number 1. First appearance of Clementine in Cameo, selling for $8 as a raw. No graded copies reported sold. Now, this is all related to The Walking Dead. ComicTom and they feel that they're The Walking Dead is here for a long time because they're going to be now reprinting the whole comic book run in colorized version, and they give the spin-offs and everything else. To arbitrarily just say that Walking Dead is here for a long time just because they're printing the books doesn't equate to me. It's here for a long time as long as the stories are good and there's an audience. X-Men, the books between, 45 to 93 or somewhere in there, were just reprints of the first bunch. That comic book was on the verge of dying before Claremont came in and saved it. Just because you're reprinting books does not mean you're guaranteed an audience. And they can say, we're going to reprint the entire run. If nobody's buying it, they're going to stop printing it. All right, so like I said, just because they're printing it doesn't mean there's a market. They stopped making the books. The series has been canceled because the storyline is kind of dried up, and the audience has dwindled. The interest, people aren't watching Twilight anymore either. That it went through its curve. It went through its phase. I think Walking Dead now is something that we will look back upon. I don't know if it can have a resurgence. But that being said, if you want to roll the dice on an $8 book, it's not going to kill you. So I just wouldn't expect it to be a really expensive book down the line. Moon Knight #2, first appearance of Arthur Harrow. Now, a little spoiler here. If you haven't watched Moon Knight, I apologize. But if you haven't, it's definitely worth watching. Moon Knight #2, Raw is selling for $25 and the 9.8 selling for $251. Rather odd price. This is the Arthur Harrow is in the show. It's not the same Arthur Harrow. They've used the name, but nothing to do with the character whatsoever. Arthur Harrow in Moon Knight #2 was a one-shot deal. It wasn't in number 3 or 4 or 5. It was in that book and then up and disappeared. So they just took the name and applied it to a character that has nothing to do with Moon Knight #2. Yeah, I think that this is not a wise investment. 25 as a Raw or 251 as a 9.8. Once everybody understands, same name, different character, they're going to be dumping these books. And if you really want to add it to your collection, that's the time to catch them. So this is going to be a Remember Me book, but not now. Number 4, speaking of Remember Me books for the future, Nova #1, the 2013 series. Now, writer and director are confirmed, $12 Raw sales, and $190 for a 9.8. This is the first series with Sam Alexander. I'd pull the trigger on a $12 Raw if it was really nice condition. I would not on a $190 9.8 at this time. Again, just because a writer and director are confirmed, it doesn't mean that you're going to see it next week. It's going to take a while. They still haven't cast the actor. What is he going to get his own movie? Is he going to appear in Guardians? Is he going to appear in something else? We got to see what's going to happen. A lot to develop, but right now, just because news hits, boom, the price goes up. Wait for it to calm down and come back. This is going to be the secondary book. The secondary book, the first book that everybody's going to go for is the first appearance of Sam Alexander. Once that prices itself out of everybody's price range, that's when they go for, well, what's his first series? What's his first interaction with this? So I'd wait off on that book a little bit. Coming at number 3. Jeez. Okay. Detective Comics number 647 from 1992. $30 Raw sales, $230 9.8s. This is the first appearance of Spoiler, who is Stephanie Brown, who later becomes Robin and Batgirl. And I'm looking at this like, okay, so it's a 1992 book. Even though that was heavily printed at that time, it still is 30 years ago. So a 9.8 Detective Comics for $230 was the first appearance. Is that really that bad? And then you hit those 2 magic letters. Shall be appearing on Gotham Knights on the CW. And that's where all good characters go to die. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to be going after this book. $30 for the Raw. No, couple of months or even after the character crashes and burns on yet another CW series, it's probably going to be an $8 to $10 book, and the 9.8s will be hovering around 130. So I'd wait. Again, if you want it, sorry. Coming in number 2, Star Wars Jabba the Hutt series number 1. $5 average sales with a $52 9.8. $52 is not bad for any 9.8. If you can grab that for $52, go ahead and grab it. I'm just saying that right off the bat. First appearance of Diva Lompop. This is a bounty hunter she's badass. Okay, she is. She's gaining a lot of respect and love from the readership, and I would love to see her later on. I think there's a chance you may even see her on a season 2, if they make, for Boba Fett or something to do with bounty hunters down the line, because this is a really cool character. And like I said, for $52 for a 9.8, that might be worth it. Even $5 for the Raw. Go grab yourself 2 copies and then just hold on to them. That one, yeah. First appearance of a Star Wars character for $5. That could be used in the future. Yeah, I'd grab that one. And coming in at number 1 was Marvel Point 1, number 1. So let's make sure everybody knows what that book looks like. And yes, I only have a 9.4. I was very disappointed at that 9.4. And no grader's notes, so I couldn't tell you why. So I should actually take a look at it again, because it's been a while since I've looked at the book. I don't know if that's color rub or not. That could be color rub right across there. Anyway, I'm looking at the book. You should be looking at the book. First appearance of Sam Alexander. First appearance of the new Nova. Adam Kubert cover. Additional art by LaRocca, Dodson, Hitch, Vines, and Neary. Lots and lots and lots of names on here. From 2012, so we're talking about 10 years ago already. $30 for a Raw and $450 for a 9.8. Now, if you remember all the different .1s that there were, this was like the one that nobody really paid attention to. Like, oh yeah, I don't care about the Sam Alexander one so much. It was always the Miss Marvel one. So the Miss Marvel first appearance on the Marvel .1, that one really did blow up, and I think Sam Alexander will be better received than Miss Marvel in the long run. I just do. I think more people will gravitate towards Nova. That being said, though, $450 for a 9.8 is a lot of money to shell out right now. This comes from a Kevin Feige post that discussed it, mentioned it, confirmed it. I didn't read it. But, again, hot news, not the time to buy the hot book. Give it a month. Give it 2 months. It should come back down. The movie, whatever movie he's going to be in is not going to be out in May or June. Okay? Unless he makes some kind of a cameo in Doctor Strange, and I don't see that happening. There's just too many other characters everybody expects to see a cameo of. Also, at the same time, while you're at it, don't forget to keep your eyes out always for Nova number 1, which is a very hot book now, but let's put both of these on the Remember Me. So, what do you think about that? All right. Well, that was the top 10 list. Now let's just talk about a couple of Remember Me's. If you're not familiar with this segment, if you noticed during the top 10, I said this is not the right time to buy it. Now, it wouldn't be fair for me to say that without telling you when is the right time to buy it. It's when everybody's forgotten about the book, including you and me and everybody. Everybody has forgotten about it. And supply and demand is dropped, so the price will drop. So let's remind ourselves of a couple of books that we said don't buy right now. And I got a couple of small ones and then one big one. First one is Fantastic Four number 358. This is the first appearance of Pybok the Power Scroll. Now, the only thing we know is that Secret Wars is coming. Secret Invasion is coming. Secret Invasion has to do with Skrulls. We have no idea which Skrulls it's going to be. Skrull Queen, or this. It could be completely new characters. 6 months ago, this book was hitting $10 a copy because people were hoping that, this was going to be one of the Skrulls that was in it. Too much speculation. Out of all the different Skrulls, this is the one that's going to be in it? We don't know. So people were not buying the $10 book. it dropped back down. It's now being found in dollar bins. So next time you go to shows or your store or whatever, start hunting. If you see those Fantastic Fours, 358s for $1, that's where you grab a book and you try to hope you do your speculation. You pick up 2 copies, cost you $2. Really, that's not that bad. Okay? If it turns out that it's wrong, you didn't lose much. You didn't lose $20. You only lost 2. So see what you can find in the $1 to $2 range for a Fantastic Four 358. Another one is Avengers number 257. First appearance of Nebula. Nebula's book never ever took off and attained a lot, the heights that everybody else's did. And I don't know why. I really like the character. I like the way that Karen Gillan plays the character. Will she be in Thor: Love and Thunder? I don't know. It's possible. Will she, even if she has appearances, when she hits it, anytime there's any kind of news concerning Nebula, the book spikes a little bit. So a few months ago, it was going for about $45 for a Raw. Right now, it's going for about $30-ish. So, it's one third off the price. Keep an eye out for a high grade 257. There's not much interest right now in that book, so you can negotiate a good price for that. $25-$30 I would shoot for a high grade. And the last one is a book that was just blowing up a few months ago and is coming back down to earth. And that is Daredevil number 9. First appearance of Echo. Now, I only have a 9.6. I'm sorry. But 9.8s, when the show was out, when the trailer hit, and it was in its prime. It was just going nuts. We're hitting $750, $800 for a 9.8. Recent 9.8 sale was $410. We're talking about almost half the price. So, it seems like the average price is about $450 for a 9.8, but again, a recent sale was for $410. We do know that Echo has her own series coming out. And what happens when the trailer hits? Everybody else remembers, and that's when they go hunting for that book that they forgot to get back in the Hawkeye series. And the price will take another step up, and it'll hit the $750, $800, $900 range. So if you can grab one for $400 to $450 right now, or $225 to $230 for a 9.6, great time to look for it. So I hope you found this information helpful. I hope you enjoy the channel. Don't forget to click like and subscribe for everything. I'm actually going to go upstairs right now and take a few minutes with a soda and watch JP's Budget Collecting, which was the original show, I guess, that he still does this. He does what's called Cash or Trash. And the only reason I do this channel is this. I want to give my input on what I think are good books, but I highly, highly value and recommend anybody else watching his channel as well. Thanks for joining yet again, and until I see you, mahalo.